Hi, I'm John McAuliffe, Chief Marketing Officer of VFM Leonardo, and welcome to the VTV channel. VTV is a weekly series of interviews with industry experts on the latest topics in travel e-business and online merchandising practices that help hoteliers extract more value out of their online presence. Feel free to email us at vtv@vfmleonardo.com to suggest topics that you would like us to cover in future episodes. Today I'm joined by Glenn Haussman, Hotel Interactive's Editor-in-Chief and host of a series of on-demand radio shows. Glenn is also a frequent moderator and speaker at leading travel industry events, and as an adjunct professor at New York University, Glenn teaches classes in consumer behavior and public relations and advertising. Glenn, welcome to VTV, and thank you for joining us again today.
Hey, John. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Glenn, in our last talk, we were talking about discounting and the differences between, low price and good deal or good value. I want to talk today about the marketing strategies that can help hoteliers avoid discounting. And we all know that when occupancy is down, and it's not just the hotel industry, quite frankly, it's the retail business in particular. When sales are down, there's a tendency to want to discount in order to drive volumes back up. But in many cases, this isn't necessary. In your experience and what you've seen, or your opinion, what have you seen hoteliers do in order to avoid discounting?
Right. Definitely. I want to talk about avoiding discounting, but the one thing I want to say about hoteliers is they discount way too quickly and way too frequently. And when you discount, it's a lot harder to push your rate back up in order to get it to where it used to be. So I would recommend that you don't trade rate for occupancy's sake. You run your hotel a little bit with fewer guests in it, and then you're going to really be able to keep the guests understanding that you're going to have this base rate on a go-forward basis. I think that's the number one way to avoid the discounting, is to really stop doing it in the first place. Other ways to avoid discounting, I would say, is you got to figure out what your presence is like, first of all, on the World Wide Web. I mean, if you're on everyone's got to be on the internet, of course, but that's the first window that guests have to your brand. So your website really needs to accurately reflect the experience that the guest is going to have when they come to your property. You can't have any old photography, you can't have old text, and you really need to try to sell the destination as well as your individual hotel to show the guests that they're going to have a cohesive experience when they stay with you.
Right. So the whole hold rates idea, as marketing practitioners, we certainly live by that thought, and it's always easier said than done.
Oh, of course.
Particularly,
of course. And I'm very lucky I get to sit here and just tell people what they should do and not own a hotel. So.
It is an advantage that we have. However, thinking of it in a competitive environment, and if you're competing with other hotels out there, and they're not holding their rates, and you are holding your rates, what type of things can I do in order to justify that higher rate for my hotel?
Right. I think there's a lot of things that you could do. Firstly, the hotel business is only going to be as profitable as the least sophisticated operator in the market, that guy who's going to drop it first. And there is going to be some sort of inability to capture all of those guests, because no matter what, there are going to be guests that are going to look at the bottom line price. But to really protect yourself, you need to look at all the full offerings that you're doing with your hotel. You want to add in a lot of value adds. So if you're charging $100 a room night and someone down the street is charging $90 a room night, you have to adequately explain to that potential guest what that extra $10 differential is really going to get them. Maybe you throw in internet service and that other hotel doesn't. Maybe you're going to be including certain meals there that other hotel doesn't. Perhaps you have a manager's reception where someone's going to get a couple of drinks in the evening and get a chance to speak to the owner or the manager of the hotel when those other hotels don't have that. So you really got to think about all of the different things that you could add into that person's experience that are going to show them that, wow, I'm actually getting a better deal at this hotel by paying more than saving a few bucks and staying at the guy down the street.
Right. So let me ask you, I mean, the travel shopping journey is really a nonlinear process. Shoppers visit many different sites. They do a lot of different searches. They go to a lot of places to compare your hotel or shop for your hotel against others. What is the best way, given that this nonlinear shopping journey exists out there, what is the best way to explain to the travel shopper that your hotel has all of these added value features for the price point that you're providing?
Right. I think it's as simple as just explaining it adequately on that web page, on your home site. You should be doing most of your business through your own hotel's website. I mean, sure, you got the OTAs and the branded websites, but when you have the most control over the website that you do for your hotel, and it should be right up there. Explain every single thing in clear, simple language. Even just the list of amenities on the home page that shows, hey, this is what you're going to get compared to the other guys is a really great way just to get started. You have to make it quick and clear and easily understandable for the consumer to get it, just like that. Otherwise, they're going to click onto somebody else's page.
Right, and a source, you know, of course, you are going to do most of your business on either your or your brand's site, but that doesn't mean the shopper isn't using all of these other sites to search out and do comparison and shopping. More so on those sites, what types of things can I do to be able to get that message across to people?
Right. Well, unfortunately, you don't have as much control when you're dealing with other sites, but you should be talking to the people who are with those particular websites. If you're using one of the OTAs, they really want you to succeed. If you're more successful, they're going to sell more rooms for you and therefore make more money. So are you really talking to the people who run those websites? Do you have a guy that you know over at Hotwire or Priceline or Hotels.com or Expedia or any of these companies? If you're not communicating to them and working with them to improve your positioning on the site and the content you're able to offer on their site, then you're really missing out. I see time and time again, hoteliers have absolutely no idea that they can have a relationship with like regional managers for these companies and get preferential treatment and really get the full breadth of services that these companies offer.
Glenn, in your opinion, what are the top 3 things hoteliers should consider before discounting?
All right, I think the top 3 things to consider is, number 1, you really got to accurately gauge what your competition is there. If you're a 30-year-old hotel that's a 3-star property and you've got a lot of nice hotels in your area, well, then maybe you got to think about a discounting strategy. But if you're a recently renovated property that's only 10 years old and you're one of the newer people in town, then what are you doing? You shouldn't be doing that. You should be explaining to people that, hey, we're the newest, we're the best, we've got this and we've got that, and therefore we charge more. Consumers aren't afraid to pay a few more bucks for a better, more high-quality experience. So, you know, you've got to really focus on who your competition is and where you really fit against them. And also, you know, are you focusing on rate alone? You know, too many hotels are undercharging for their rooms. There seems to be this incredible fear that hoteliers have to just up rates a couple of bucks at a time. There's nothing wrong with that. Consumers are not going to not stay with you because you're charging $2 or $3 for, you know, for an extra room. Plus, what are the rates that your competitors are charging? You can certainly charge more for a hotel room if you make it clear, like I said earlier, that you've got better amenities and services and, you know, things like the internet, for example. Too many hotels are charging for that, and if you're not, that's definitely an advantage that you have that will make up that price differential and keep you from having to discount.
Right. Glenn, have you any examples that come to your mind of people that are either doing an incredibly good job at communicating the value of their hotel so they don't have to discount, or conversely, those that are perhaps discounting too soon?
Yeah, I think too many hotels really jumped on the discounting game. It was a knee-jerk reaction that the industry had when all the markets went south in the end of 2008 and throughout 2009. The hotels that are doing it best, though you wouldn't be able to tell from their profit levels, are really the Las Vegas casinos. They truly understand the notion of bundling experiences into a package at a single price. If you go to a Las Vegas casino now, there's tons and tons of packages available that you can get that help protect the rate that the hotel is charging while throwing in a lot of those value-added experiences, like the gym. Instead of charging $25, they'll throw that in, as well as you know, perhaps if you're at Wynn Las Vegas, you might get access to the nightclub, for example. You might get preferential seating at a show. Lots of those ideas that don't really cost a lot of money to implement, but will help protect your rate. Those are the best ideas that I see out there.
Right, and certainly those are destination-oriented, hotels, whether that's for leisure or business. What about the limited service hotel that has a lot of business travel? What types of things can they do to differentiate their hotel from others on something other than price point?
Right. Well, maybe maybe if you're catering to a particular business clientele, you have concierge services that other select service hotels don't have. It's all about understanding who your guest is, what their makeup is, and figuring out the ways to make them happy. It's going to be something different for every single guest, but the type of guest that your hotel attracts has a definite psychological, psychographic type of profile to them. So you've got a basic understanding of who those guests are. So if your hotel happens to be located in an area where there's a lot of kids' sports events going on, then you need to get your mind oriented into how to create value-added packages that focus on the moms and dads bringing their kids to compete in those sports competitions and how to better appeal to them. So it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. It's really understanding who your guests are and trying to make an emotional connection with them on that particular level.
Right. Glenn, again, thank you very much for joining us on VTV and sharing your insights with us.
Great. Thank you so much, John. I had a great time.
Thank you. To all the viewers out there, be sure to post your comments on this episode of VTV and subscribe to our feed to receive more valuable insights from industry experts.